The United States sometimes uses sanctions as a tool to influence other countries. These sanctions are often seen as a way to exert pressure without resorting to military action. They can be a powerful means of signaling disapproval or attempting to change a country's policies. These sanctions can target specific industries or even entire economies. For example, they might focus on sectors like technology, energy, or finance. The goal is to create economic hardship that will force the targeted country to reconsider its actions. This can include restrictions on trade, investment, and other economic activities. The idea is to put pressure on a country to change its behavior. This pressure can come from within, as citizens of the targeted country may become dissatisfied with their government's policies. It can also come from the international community, as other nations may join in the sanctions or offer support to the targeted country's opposition. Recently, there's been talk about using sanctions against China. This discussion has been fueled by concerns over issues such as trade imbalances, intellectual property theft, and human rights abuses. Some policymakers believe that sanctions could be an effective way to address these concerns and encourage China to adopt more favorable practices. Many people believe that sanctions would only hurt China. They argue that the Chinese economy is heavily dependent on exports, and that restricting access to international markets would cause significant economic pain. This, in turn, could lead to social unrest and pressure on the Chinese government to change its policies. However, the reality is far more complex. Sanctions are not a one-way street. They can have unintended consequences for the countries that impose them as well. For instance, American companies that do business with China could suffer from lost revenue and disrupted supply chains. This could lead to job losses and economic instability in the United States. Sanctions on China could have serious consequences for the American economy as well. The interconnected nature of the global economy means that actions taken against one country can ripple through the entire system. Consumers in the United States might face higher prices for goods, and businesses could struggle to find alternative suppliers. In the end, the decision to impose sanctions is a complex one that requires careful consideration of all potential impacts. The global economy is deeply interconnected. No country exists in isolation, and this is especially true for the United States and China. The two economies are deeply intertwined. China is America's largest trading partner. We buy their goods and they buy ours. American companies manufacture products in China, and Chinese companies invest in the United States. This interdependence means that any action taken by one country will inevitably impact the other. Sanctions on China would disrupt these intricate trade networks. American companies that rely on Chinese manufacturing would face disruptions and higher costs. This could lead to job losses in sectors like technology, manufacturing, and agriculture. Farmers who depend on exporting soybeans and other crops to China could see their livelihoods threatened. The impact would be felt across the entire country, not just in a few specific industries. American consumers would also feel the pinch. Many everyday goods, from electronics to clothing, are made in China. Sanctions would disrupt supply chains, leading to shortages and higher prices for these products. Imagine walking into a store and finding empty shelves where your favorite electronics used to be, or seeing the price of your go-to clothing brand double overnight. This is the reality that sanctions could bring. The impact of sanctions would be felt across various sectors of the American economy. Technology companies that rely on Chinese manufacturing for components like semiconductors would face production delays and higher costs. This could lead to more expensive smartphones, computers, and other electronics. The agricultural industry, already grappling with trade tensions, would be hit hard by reduced exports to China. Section 6. The ripple effect, a global economic slowdown. The consequences of sanctions wouldn't be confined to the U.S. and China. These two economic giants are deeply intertwined with the global economy, and any disruption in their economic activities would send shockwaves across the world. The global economy would feel the impact. From Europe to Africa, from South America to Asia, no region would be spared from the cascading effects of a slowdown in these two powerhouse economies. China is a major engine of global growth. Its vast manufacturing sector supplies goods to every corner of the globe. and its demand for raw materials and components drives industries in numerous countries. Slowing economic activity in China would have ripple effects around the world, impacting trade, investment, and financial markets. The reduced demand for exports would hurt economies that rely heavily on selling goods to China. This interconnectedness means that the pain of sanctions would be felt far beyond the borders of the two countries involved. Businesses around the world would face declining sales, leading to layoffs and closures. Financial markets would react with increased volatility, affecting investments and savings globally. Governments would be forced to respond with policy measures to stabilize their economies, but the effectiveness of these measures would vary. Some countries might resort to protectionism, further exacerbating the slowdown. The human cost of a global economic slowdown cannot be understated. Millions of people could lose their jobs, and poverty rates could rise. Social unrest could become more common as people struggle to make ends meet. However, crises also present opportunities. Some sectors, like technology and renewable energy, might see growth as countries look for new ways to stimulate their economies. International cooperation would be crucial in navigating the challenges of a global economic slowdown. By working together, countries can find ways to mitigate the negative impacts and pave the way for a more resilient global economy in the future. Section 7. The true cost of sanctions, more than just dollars and cents. The cost of sanctions goes beyond the economic realm. While the immediate impact is often measured in financial terms, the ripple effects can be far-reaching and profound. Businesses may face closures, leading to job losses and economic downturns in affected regions. The halted flow of goods and services can disrupt supply chains, causing shortages and increased prices for consumers. Strained economic relations can spill over into political and diplomatic tensions. When countries impose sanctions, it often leads to a breakdown in communication and trust. Diplomatic efforts can become strained, making it difficult to resolve conflicts through peaceful means. The media often highlights these tensions, further exacerbating public sentiment and leading to protests and civil unrest. Sanctions can create an atmosphere of mistrust and hostility, not just between governments but also among the people. This environment can lead to legal battles and increased security measures as nations try to protect their interests. The division created by sanctions can be as tangible as a barbed wire fence, separating communities and fostering resentment, making it harder to cooperate on global challenges like climate change, pandemics, and nuclear proliferation. These issues require a united global effort, and sanctions can hinder the necessary collaboration. For instance, scientific research on climate change may be delayed, healthcare responses to pandemics can be less effective, and efforts to control nuclear proliferation may be compromised. In an increasingly interconnected world, the actions of one nation can have a ripple effect across the globe. International travel, technology, and infrastructure are all interlinked, and sanctions can disrupt these connections. The global economy thrives on cooperation and mutual benefit, and any disruption can have widespread consequences. Dialogue and cooperation, not economic warfare, are essential for addressing shared challenges. By fostering open communication and working together, nations can find solutions that benefit everyone. Successful international projects and collaborations are a testament to what can be achieved when countries set aside their differences and focus on common goals. In the end, the true cost of sanctions is not just measured in dollars and cents, but in the lost opportunities for a better, more cooperative world. Section 8. Finding common ground, a path forward. Instead of resorting to sanctions, which would harm both economies, the U.S. and China should focus on finding common ground. Open dialogue, fair trade practices, and mutual respect are crucial for a healthy and productive relationship. By working together, the two countries can address their differences and build a more stable and prosperous future for both their people and the world. Section 9. Explore the world. Discover new perspectives with Expedia. Want to learn more about the complexities of the global economy and experience different cultures firsthand? Travel can broaden your horizons and foster greater understanding. Check out Expedia.com for amazing travel deals and start planning your next adventure today. Discover the world, connect with people from all walks of life, and gain a deeper appreciation for the interconnectedness of our planet.